I know this is a lot of trouble just to get like one little line in there, but actually that nice bit of blue tack is nicely holding almost our piece nicely in place for us to then have one hand to hold the template, our other hand to hold the pea cutter, and we can just lightly scribe across now. Okay, nice and lightly with nice light passes, like so. You probably didn't see that very well, but it was really tricky and trying to get it on camera. Now we put some nice light passes in there. We've got quite a nice recess going on there, which would probably do, but because now I've got something to follow as a guide, I quite like to come along and do a bit of freehand. I mean, really, you don't have to do this freehand. You could have just stayed there and kept on passing and passing until it was good, but I just can't help doing a bit of freehand, okay, to make sure it's good. Now that's good. And the one thing you want to do as well when it comes to scribing is we've just come along and, well, actually, I mean, to be honest with you, our rivets are a bit light as well. So what we can do is, maybe I could bring you in a little closer as well. What we can do is, because our rivets are quite light, they're still quite there, but we can see them, so we don't need any guides. You know, we can see our rivets already, and we can just give them a little pin prick with what this is a pin in a little hand drill, and we can just patiently get each rivet and then give it a little push down just to make them that little bit deeper for all our nice washes to be able to get in there and do the trick. Okay, just a few more left, and there we go. We've gone all the way across there. We've rescribed it, we've re-riveted it, and then what I like to do is just to neaten everything off, right, is you give it a light sanding with a, you know, we've got a sponge, a fine sponge sanding stick here, and we can just give it a light little sand, and I mean really light. I mean, you don't want to sand this like a nutter, so that all your rescribing you've just done just gets obliterated again, right? We just wanted to give it a light sand just to give the surface a bit of a, you know, a nice little touch, because the problem is, I mean, when you're doing like putting a pin in to like get your rivets, you're not actually removing plastic, you're actually kind of like pushing it down and kind of pushing it sort of out to make a hole. So by giving it a bit of sanding, you're kind of like actually removing some of the plastic, and it just makes it neater. And then with a toothbrush, if I can find one, and a bit of moisture, what we can do is just give it a bit of a brush like so. So all the sanding we've done, okay, that little bit of sanding has left behind a little bit of sanding dust that's gone into all your rivets and your recessed panel lines, and by coming along and giving it that bit of a brush, we're brushing out all that dust that's gone in there and made the mess, and we've cleaned it all up, so it should hopefully now be all looking quite good, as hopefully you can see. So bit of a pain to do a bit of rescribing on such what is turned out to be such a nice kit, and to find that is a bit disappointing, but you know, you get that on a lot of kits. I mean, even Hasegawa, you know, where it kind of just wraps around, the molds just don't quite get those nice crisp recessed panel lines that you'd hope you'd get with on the top of the surface. Okay, so a bit of disappointment. Sometimes you can get away with it, sometimes you can't. Sometimes even if you could get away with it, I'd probably just do it anyway, because it just looks better and more professional if you do take that time and get it done. But it isn't that mega hard, because you've already got the recessed panel lines there. It's just they just need a bit more depth, so it's not as hard when you've got something there to play with. So that was a nice bit of rescribing there. So I'm going to get this all glued together, and we can get some spraying and painting and weathering of the cockpit. gone round, done a load of gluing and got all this stuff in. The cockpit is actually looking really nice for an out of the box cockpit. I have got all these really hard, really nasty bits of photo etch on our little radar bit here. Very tricky, very hard. Ended up using tweezers in the end, but I managed to finally get them on, and hopefully when that's sprayed up it'll look good. I do like our front wheel well here, because it was like so many parts. Instead of being one block part that you get with most kits, it's ended up being a lot more detail, because each wall has been its own separate piece. And hopefully if I bring you in, you can see that actually we've got loads and bags of actual detail going on in there, because it's all been done separately. So a little bit more effort for the manufacturers and for us building together, but a lot better detail going on there. Just thought I'd show you that because it is quite good. Right, got some photo etch seat belts that you get with this kit. So what I want to do, I just want to get some Tamiya masking tape, okay, like so. Bit of super glue, bit of zapper gap. Right, pour a bit down. Make sure you don't put the lid back on with super glue on the end, because it'll just ruin the top. So here comes the tricky part, is with seat belts, because they're so fiddly, I like to use super glue to make sure they stay down, but when using super glue on photo etch it can be a bit of a pain. So you do need to try and just make a film of super glue when you, so what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to spread this on our photo etch and very quickly put it down on our model and try and hold it in place. Okay, really quickly, like so, because if we get like a blob of super glue on the end of our bit of photo etch bit here, right, it's just going to blob out and it's going to look all nasty. So we just want a quick film, right, so maybe dip it in the super glue a bit and then maybe quickly wipe it off somewhere on the side. See, if you only do a bit of a film, you know, it can end up drying before you've managed to put it down. Okay, so you just need to be really quick. Give that a blow, and there we go, we got that into place. So moving along, okay, let's bend them down a little bit. Just easier to bend them while we was putting it on. We're going to a strap here, right, and what we're going to do is we're just going to dip this in the same thing. You know, we want a quick dip, quick wipe, and then try and quickly glue it into place on the model. Again, you know, because you're making a quick film, it just dries so quickly and you can't get it to glue, but you don't want blobs. So it may take a few attempts, might take a bit of getting used to, maybe a little bit just here, just to make sure we're in, nicely glued in. Okay, what I like to do is on a cocktail stick, is just underneath try and smear the seat belt, and then turn the cocktail stick round and just hold it into place, right? And the trick is you just want to you know, you just think big blob of super glue and it's gonna go everywhere and look a mess. Okay, nice light smears of super glue and quickly put it on before it dries. Now in this case, this little bit here, which I could probably bring you in, we could actually get a blob of super glue, right, and we can just blob, maybe a bit more blob, okay, and we can just have a little blob there and we can get that to nicely glue into place real nice and hard, right? And we can do that because you're never going to see this. You know, once this is in place, actually, you know, in the cockpit, right, you're just never going to see it, right? So, you know, so what if we've got a bit of a blob of super glue there? No big deal, it's never going to be seen. So we could do then the same for the other side. Nice little blob of super glue, and we can nicely and easily blob it down here. Let that dry. Again, we've got our little strap here to add. Again, on our tweezers. Right, this time, nice film of super glue. We don't want blobs of it. And nicely put that in place. Come along with your cocktail stick. Find out which end you're using super glue, right? Get a bit of super glue on the end, not a big blob, and we just want to lightly underneath put a film of super glue. Okay, and because it's just a film, we want to quickly glue it down. Quick blow, and that's all down, right? Again, same again for these last two straps. Bit of film underneath with the super glue, turn the cocktail stick around and then push it down, and hopefully you've got enough of super glue, which I haven't on this one. So we want to lift that back up, okay, and then we want to get a bit of super glue, get it on there, make sure it's just a film and it's not a big blob, and then push that down like so. We don't want blobs. Now I've accidentally put super glue on both ends of that, so I'm going to get another cocktail stick and I'm going to, again, bit of super glue and smear it on, nice thin, kind of a bit like a filter kind of thing, you know. It's not like a wash you want to whack it on there, it's like a filter. It's just a nice smear, even film of super glue, no blobs, no mess, and then you quickly put it down before it dries so that it just kind of has enough super glue to stay in place. Now what we want to do is we want to start prepping up for spraying. Now we've got everything all together, photo etched down, all that stuff. Nice cocktail stick, bit of blue tack on the end, and we can just get pieces that we can't actually hold, and we can just nicely hold them in place long enough for us to spray. And I've done that with a load of pieces here. Our ejector seat, sorry, is actually, there is actually kind of like a bit of a gap just underneath there, and you can just kind of sort of screw in your cocktail stick, so no need for any anything to do there. And basically it's just going through all your pieces and going, okay, what do I need? Cocktail stick, drill a hole, get some blue tack on it, you know, whatever kind of gets it so that you don't have to, you know, spray and hold and let it dry and then spray the part that you was holding and all that kind of stuff. We don't want to be doing any of that. Again here, I suppose a nice bit of blue tack, stick it in this little hole we've got here, why not? Anywhere, you know, you're not going to actually be seeing or needing any spray, you know, just do whatever you can. So that basically does that. So let's get some spraying going, and when it comes to spraying, you know, we'll just get some kitchen paper down here, the kitchen paper towel down, airbrush, let's get it turned on, just blowing out the thinners that I leave in there overnight just to kind of keep things nice and fresh. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Vallejo's, and I love this colour, it's Vallejo's 046 Model Air, and it's pale grey blue, and I think it really does make a really good colour for, I mean, most modern interior jets. Okay, so I'm going to pour this in neat as well, because I mean you can spray Vallejo neat. I do find they do need a little bit of thinning down, shall we say, but when we're doing little pieces like, you know, cockpits, weapons, maybe a bit of landing gear, you can just throw it in neat, save a bit of time. Okay, and we just give this a quick light misty coat to start with. Okay, and we do this to all the pieces that are going to have our nice light bluish grey going on. Nice light misty coat, and we're just going to go around and spray all them up. All sprayed up now, all nicely, got all our pale blue grey bits all kind of sorted. So I'll just show you a quick colour change. Nicely, airbrush cleaner by Vallejo, quite good. We can just spray that through a little bit, and then what we like to do is turn the cup upside down so that when we rub in and any bits of flaky dry up bits, you know, we're bringing, you know, gravity, bringing it downwards so we don't get it going all the way through the needle end and, you know, potentially blocking up our airbrush. And we just need to go through this and get it so that it starts spraying all nice and clear. However, to be honest with you, I'm going to be getting the black out now, right, and I don't think if there's a bit of light grey in there that it's really going to affect the black, so I'm not going to worry about that. So I'm just going to come in again nice and neat with our black, and what we want to do, we want to get our cockpit out of the way actually first so we don't overspray that. But here we have our ejector seat with all our nice resin on it, and we can just nicely spray around this, coming from the top, coming from the bottom, coming from all angles, get it all nicely sprayed black. And we can cut to air to dry that off. Right, and that was nice, quick, easy, no real messing about, mega colour changes or thinning down your paint or anything, you know. We're talking nice, simple cockpit detail, you know. Your airbrush isn't going to get blocked up that quickly when you're just doing quick spray jobs. Okay, so if we look at that, I mean, actually it does look quite nice, all our nice photo etch that we've got on there. It just kind of livens it up a little bit, which is definitely better than stock. So I'm just going to spray everything black now. Oh, just a little note, I have sprayed just on the inside of these are like the panel covers that go on top. There's actually two of them for the front and the rear. What I've done is I've sprayed inside that light grey blue, whatever it's called again, the pale grey blue by Vallejo, just inside, but then on top I'm just going to spray it black like so. And what should happen is, we're going to have like two different kind of paints going on here. We've got our inside nicely painted, our light pale blue, and then black on top. Had to do no masking, and it's just all about, you know, your overspray, because basically, you know, the where you're shooting cannot physically, you know, go around corners and come up and spray into there, so we can basically spray two colours. Quite simple, but it's a nice little tip, you know, so you're not kind of masking stuff up or anything like that. And we do the same with this one. Okay, we just think of where our overspray is, because we don't want it to spray inside, right, and we just want the top sprayed like so. So then when we turn it over, we're all still good on the inside, and that's what we want. Cut to air, looks good. There we go. So I'm just going to do all the black. What I just want to show you now is our radar system. Now, as I've said, I'm going to enclose all mine, so you're not going to see my radar system, but I thought, you know, I'll build it and I'll just quickly show you. So I don't really want to go off and be weathering all this and everything. It's just to give you an idea of how good the stock inbox radar system is that you get with the kit. So if you want to come along and you want to do maybe to open up your radar system like so, with the nose system like that, you can. And you know, for out of the box it's quite good. The photo etch does set it off quite nicely. I think If you're going to be wanting to open this up, you're probably going to want a bit more detail than that, so I think maybe a bit of scratch building to go with it, you know, and you've really got yourself a really nice nose section there. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be coming along and I'm just going to be closing it up like so, which looking at it is actually not a bad fit. I think we might have to do a bit of filling around this nose section, but it does actually look quite good. So that's it really from the radar. I'm going to stick it in anyway, because I mean there might be some sort of structural thing going on there, but that's that. And just as a note, I did use I mean, I'll just quickly grab some gold, but I used Pale Burnt Metal ALC 104 by Alclads 2 for the gold bit. So that's that. Other thing is, well, I did actually forget on the photo etch that we've got these little yellow pull cords that are just there, a little bit of photo etch. I did miss them out, just to let you know, put them on. But now, these, I'm not going to be touching these or putting these on the model until literally the end, you know, where I come in and I do the last bit of the top part of the cockpit before I put the canopy on top, and that's the last thing I do with the build. So really what I'd like to do is have a little part, and I'll put all my little bits in here to keep them all nice and safe and dust free with a nice lid. So you want to be doing that. In fact, because it's not a good idea to put your ejector seats in, because they're sticking out, and when you're sanding, filling, scribing, they get messed up as well. It's kind of a good idea that you don't glue them in. So I also kind of finish painting up them and weathering up them at the end as well. So I'll show you that at the end, but I'm just keeping them all nice and safe until we get on with all that last build bits. So now what we want to do, I do believe, is a bunch of painting. Right, we want to get our cockpit all nice. Now our cockpit fits beautifully actually, really nice how that fits. Our piece at the back here, little bulkhead thing that goes at the back, I've glued that into place now because that is supposed to be black, a flat black. So by gluing it in after spraying, we get to spray that black and we get to spray our cockpit another colour. It just helps a little bit with painting and spraying. So I'm going to use Games Workshop Citadel paints for painting. Got a bit of water, a little palette, and I'm going to use Series 7 paintbrushes. And I'm going to use, I want a 0. Yeah, I want a size 0 paintbrush. Okay, and what we're going to do, we're just going to get a bit of water. Actually, you know, not water, we won't use water. We'll use some X20A for this. Right, I'm just going to get a few drops and drop them just on my palette, right, so I can like play around with that as much as I like. Now, and then I want to get some of me, I think it's Abaddon Black, as they call it, their silly, weird Games Workshop names, and we're just going to mix this now into a kind of a nice thinness and thickness, and we just want to get it nice and right so that we can actually, you know, nicely paint on our cockpit, have a nice bit of coverage, but at the same time we don't want it to have mad kind of brush strokes. Right, so I'm just going to start painting all our panels, right, and I mean like our instrument panels, where all our buttons and dials are. Right, and we're just going to nicely paint them like so, nice and carefully. Maybe bring you in a little bit closer. Right, I'll just do this one side. We may have to give, we probably are going to have to give this a second coat, like so, and we just get that nice kind of look where you have your, where all your buttons and displays are, you know, are normally black, and then around that you've got all that nice kind of light grey going on, and it's almost like it's got a bit of blue in there, so you know, this nice pale grey blue or whatever it's called by Vallejo is why I like how it works nicely. Right, so this is a bit of a careful point to do, I suppose, and using a nice Winsor & Newton Series 7 paintbrush does help quite nicely, as you can see, hopefully. And we can even paint up our joysticks and anything like that as well. Okay, missed a little bit there. And what's going to happen is we'll paint this black, and then we'll come along and do some weathering, because we've got nice little recesses in there, you know, it'll go inside there and all that kind of stuff, and really kind of bring that out. So what you want to do is you just want to go round and you want to do that to all your instruments display panels, like I've just done on this one. You want to get all your bits here, both sides, joysticks, get all them the kind of the base colours, get your base colours all sorted, and what we can then go off and do is start then livening it up, painting stuff like buttons and stuff. Going to now do some decaling on our actual instrument panels here. What we're going to do is we've got these decals that you actually get with it, which some people don't like, but I actually really love it when they give you these instrument display panel decals. I'm not talking those nasty where you've got a really nasty cockpit, there's no detail on there, so they give you these decals that kind of makes up all your cockpit detail. Not those kind of decals, just those ones that you come along and you just nicely apply them to a display panel. So what we've got here, we've got number 4. I've just taken it off with our paintbrush here, which I specifically only use for decaling, and I'm just gonna maneuver that now, try and maneuver it in position so it's nicely in its display panel where it should be. Okay, just a little bit more manoeuvring. Sorry if my hand's getting in the way. Now this needs a little bit more water because it's doing a little bit of sticking and it's becoming a little hard to manoeuvre. Okay, so we'll try that again. Okay, that looks good now, and I hope you can kind of see what I mean. Bring you out a bit. Hopefully you can see what I mean. Bring you maybe a bit more light. What I mean by how, you know, it kind of gives you something more printed, something that you can't really do by painting, and hopefully that brings it all together to life a lot better. So what we want to do now is we want to get some of our decaling solutions down. So get ourselves some micro sol right here, and we can get our paintbrush, and simply we can just paint some of this on to the front of this now, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to get it to nicely conform all nicely to our instrument display and make this all look really good. So when we come around and we're painting our buttons, we weather all this up with this nice little decaling there as well, should really kind of set this off really nice.